Hello dear viewers and welcome back to Musings of Maverick channel. Maverick here, ready for episode 14 of Vinland Saga. So last episode we learned a lot more about Askeladd, right? We learned that he's half Welsh, half Danish, and so that's why he has these connections with the various Welsh kingdoms. And we also learned that part of his bigger plan of saving Canute is to eventually gain a position in the high court of the Danes, which I presume at this point he already believes is going to be sort of like a unified kingdom of England and Denmark and potentially the rest of the Scandinavian countries as well, right? That's what he has in mind. So what are we left right now, right? Last episode, they were still trying to meet back up with the main army, with Sweyn Forksbeard. Don't really know, like, is there anything else that they want to add onto history right now before they continue to follow history and go back to London and conquer it and conquer all of England? But we shall see, right? In case, let's get into the episode right now. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Vinland Saga. No. I was like, why was the screen black? Okay, this is probably not in England, right? Hmm? Is this a flashback? Who are you? Anne? Is this Askeladd's mom? Well, no, I don't. Who are you? Well, she's Christian, that much we can tell. Alright, so the opening. So I'll skip this real quick. See you guys in a second. And back. The light of dawn. How did you find a church? Oh, it was a flashback. Oh wait, you two are brothers? Okay. What are you asking him for? Were they always this kind of character? What are they going on about? Are they trying to understand the concept of love? Or unconditional love? Isn't that force? Oh, yeah. I almost forgot that he actually went against all the other guys as well. It's been a while. He's gonna be like, that is love. Really? You don't know his name? That's it! I found it! Okay. So, as expected, this priest is going to play a much larger character than initially expected. Otherwise, they wouldn't specifically, animate that whole scene. Hmm. 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 He probably doesn't believe in the concept of luck, right? Oh, okay. That's how he's going to get provisions. Oh, so that's okay, okay, yeah. Zan. Okay. So Ashladden's men are probably gonna raid this village, right? Are you going to get into a moralistic situation? Wait, 20 years later? Wait, it's... So what did you do? What are you hiding in there? Huh? A ring? Okay, she stole a ring. Mm-hmm. She's gonna be the only one who survives, right? Out of her family? Something like that. Boom. Hmm. I wonder... No, they can't understand each other. Mm-hmm. So what are they gonna do? Does he want to answer him? He's gonna kill him, isn't he? Huh? No. Yeah, he's gonna kill him. Oh. They're gonna massacre the entire village. Damn. Damn. Yeah. They censored quite a lot, I'm guessing. Or maybe even in the manga, they chose to quickly skip through this part. Is she going to be a major character? Go to heaven? What? She'll probably freeze to death, I'm guessing. Oh, wait, no. Huh. Is she actually going to be a recurring character? Damn. Okay. Now this was a pretty... Well, let's talk more after the ending, I guess. Alrighty, so that was quite the heavy episode, right? And let's just address the elephant in the room, and that is the massacre of the village, right? Now, the easy thing here, of course, would be to condemn Askeladd and his men, right? From, you know, using our modern day morals and whatnot, from a humanistic, from a moralistic standpoint, it's wrong. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, you know. He killed basically everyone, and not just the men, but the women and children as well. There were babies there as well, and, you know, all killed, right? However, from a utilitarian and pragmatic standpoint, I do feel like it's the correct decision, and it's hard to argue with the logic and reasoning behind that, right? And honestly, it's just not that clear-cut, right? Especially, for instance, at the very end there, with Anne speaking, "Oh, God, now I know how, you know, truly evil men exist, and yada yada yada," right? And with with Ragnar being like, "Oh, they're Christians, we can't kill them." Like, let's just bring up one example, right? Which is also shown within this anime as well, and that is the St. Brice's Day massacre, which led to the eventual invasion of England by Sweyn Forkbeard, right? You know, well, I kind of forgot which episode it was. It was like episode, what, 7 or something, where we see the English people raiding a Danish village and killing everyone there, right? You know, that was pretty much the exact same scenario. They killed the entire village down, men, women, children. You know, some historical accounts actually record that it was much more brutal as well. They actually brutalized and tortured their prisoners, although that is debatable as to its historical accuracy, and so on and so forth. And really, I feel like with this kind of thing, you know, I always say you need, as a historian, you really need to look at the overall context of that time period, right? This is the year 1000, right? It's the 11th century. These things are normal, right? Plundering a village, killing all the people within them, killing women, children, or, you know, taking them as slaves, as sex slaves, as work slaves, and whatnot. This is the norm, right? And so, even though this anime is trying to portray this as, oh, look at how ruthless Askeladd is, and how, you know, how evil, you know, the evil deeds he's trying to doing or whatnot, because we don't really have another reference point as to what others are doing, right? But what I'm saying is that in that day and age, that was probably the norm and not the exception, right? Now, of course, you can say, oh, but we should be better than that, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. We know better than that. What he's doing is still wrong. But as I said, you can't use the moralistic development of 1,000 years and condemn people's actions in the past, right? You're never, you know, these things take time to develop. You can't just go back and you know, talk shit on them in the relative comfort of the 21st century, right? So, you know, it's not a question of whether I approve of this or not, but I feel like under that kind of context, under that kind of situation, probably he made the right decision, and I can't argue with that, right? And besides, let's not kid ourselves here, right? When there's war, morals are the first thing that are expendable, right? And that is true even of this modern day and age as well, right? With any kind of war, and even in insurgent warfare or, you know, yada 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 as well, right? You look at the situation in the Middle East, and it's not even limited to, you know, just undeveloped countries or whatnot, or second world, third world countries. It's the same even with advanced countries and the actions that they do. So, you know, I feel like this is a situation where, should I feel a little bit more sympathetic for them? Maybe, yeah. You know, obviously it sucks to have your entire village massacred, but at the same time, I'm not going to lower my opinion of Askeladd because of this, right? So there you go. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the characters here, right? So Anne, it seems that she might be a recurring character here, and I got a feeling that perhaps they're going to portray her character to be a thorn in the side of Askeladd in the future. I mean, she's already survived, right? And she even survived a night there without freezing to death. It seems pretty plausible that she's going to continue to be a recurring character with her conviction and hatred of Danes, or something similar to that, right? Or are they going to go a more... Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like my gut instinct right now is that with the way Aine is portrayed, we're gonna see more of her in the future. And next up would be Canute, right? So it is kind of interesting to me because you guys remember a few episodes ago when I was wondering how they were actually going to develop Canute's character, right? So as he is introduced right now, he's sort of weak, feeble, he's kind-hearted, yada yada yada, but as we know the historical Canute, he's actually also quite the pragmatic king as well. There's a reason why he's Canute the Great, right? He takes action, he makes decisions, he makes the necessary decisions that are required of him, and that includes being ruthless as well, right? And it's well documented in historical records as well, with some of the things that he did to prisoners and so on and so forth. So perhaps in a way this is also subtly influencing Canute to also step on the pragmatic and ruthless kind of route. Maybe not. I thought he would be more affected by Thorfinn, but perhaps he's also watching and learning from Askeladd as well, although it wasn't quite apparent here. Then again, he didn't really say anything, right? So perhaps he deep in his heart he also feels that this was the correct decision. And then there's the priest, right? Which really is the character which I have the least confidence on. I still really don't know what his entire reason for being here is. So we can see that he's still searching for the concept of true love, of unrequited love as portrayed by Christianity, as preached by Jesus, and so on and so forth. But what is the significance here of him searching for this, right? Like, how is it actually going to affect the story in any way? It's not going to affect Canute that much because I'm just thinking about the historical significance of what Canute actually did and whether or not, like, let's say the priest, okay, searching for true love, and say he found his role model in Force, right? So the best warrior is one who doesn't need to use his sword. Maybe he's going to be preaching, non-violence and really loving one another, and so on and so forth. But how is that actually going to affect the story, right? Now that's the real question here. My guess is that perhaps he's going to in the end influence Thorfinn, question mark, sort of trying to reel Thorfinn back from being this also sort of heartless, ruthless character as he is right now, and maybe reinstill some innocence within him. I'm guessing that by the end of the series, we're going to have a happy ending as well, and Thorfinn is going to give up his life of violence and fighting, and maybe eventually settle down somewhere, potentially even in Vinland, right? So perhaps there's this connection here. Don't really know for now. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say for this episode. It seems, though, that, from the dialogue here, Askeladd isn't quite impressed with the amount of food and provisions that he got. Although it doesn't really work out, calculate correctly to me, because, even though he said that there's only enough food and provisions for 50 people, and that can last them the entire winter, right? Askeladd is not going to be spending the entire winter holed up, right? So that should be enough provisions, but if we are going by his dialogue, it seems that he's going to be plundering another village in the next episode as well. And perhaps, that's where Anne comes in and maybe gives forewarning to the other village, so on and so forth. Maybe. And the whole reason why I'm a little bit suspicious of Anne's character is because of the previous conversation between Askeladd and Ragnar, right? And speaking about bad luck and all that, how bad luck runs out, even though, I'm not exactly the superstitious kind of person, perhaps there's significance to that scene being animated and shown, right? So maybe, him raiding this village is going to eventually lead to a series of bad events that's going to haunt him in the future. I could definitely see the series trying to pull something like that. Although how exactly that fits in with the moral or theme of the story, that remains to be seen, right? So yeah, that was it. I don't think I've missed anything else. Do let me know what you guys think about the entire massacre and whatnot as well. I feel like for most people who are watching my channel, and indeed for most people who are watching the Vinland Saga series, would probably also accept that this is a unfortunate an unfortunate necessity of the times, if you will. But if there's other kind of, if someone wants to take the moral high ground, obviously I'm not going to refute that as well, right? We are in the modern world right now. We should strive for this kind of moralistic values. So yeah, there we go. So that was Vinland Saga episode 14. This has been Maverick. I'll see you guys next week as well. Bye bye.